here with Thomas Kail, who directed the upcoming Hulu series Up Here, which really blends the real and imaginary, or at least the external and internal worlds that we have for ourselves. So, how do you approach directing that sort of blended reality?
The same way I try to do anything, which is honestly. And I think that when you have scripts that are as vivid and alive as those that we had, Danielle Sanchez-Witzel and Stephen Levinson leading the writing team, and then of course Kristen and Bobby writing music and lyrics that are just a continuation of that. It felt like it was all there for me. I feel like their job is make a blueprint, and my job is to help them build the house or the whatever the structure is that they're trying to do. So, they always lead with character. It feels like characters are always doing something that might be surprising, but also feels dramatically compelling at each moment. And the funny always comes from character. And so whether it's an internal or an external, I think that what you're trying to make sure is that you're always being truthful. And that's where I think the comedy comes from. And that's where I think the conflict comes from.
Absolutely. And obviously, there are a bunch of big musical numbers as well. And
Yes.
it's really interesting that we've got a series where occasionally you'll see like the main character by themselves doing like a little solo, but we also have these really big set pieces with dancers and choreography. So, what was the most challenging performance to shoot?
Oh, wow. Well, I have to say, we really believe in pre-production, and Sonia, our choreographer, would be working weeks ahead of time. We'd go down there with Ashley, our DP, and we'd all watch, we'd film it, and then be able to talk about it. And Sonia's storytelling is just as strong as our writers. So we were always trying to follow that narrative thread. Some of the numbers, have particular challenges. Often time is a big challenge because although the numbers look like they took 3 days to shoot, we often had about 6 hours to shoot them. So, when we did the number, from that first episode, and she's out on the New York City street, and you're doing that from 8 to midnight, and here comes, like that obviously has challenges. But then some of the numbers that we did in the fourth episode that sort of exist in this kind of psychological space in Miguel's brain, with I Am Not Alone, and which had this kind of, I don't want to give it away, but lots of things are moving around. They're all motivated by the company, and you have to create lighting looks, and sort of build ahead. So, what's nice is everything had a different kind of challenge, and they allowed us to learn from one and bring to the next. But we really didn't repeat anything. There isn't a single song. And I think we have 18 songs, and then a couple other like sort of ditties, and none of them do the same thing. They don't serve the same function, and they also don't have the same form. So we're really, really proud of that because we wanted it to be as variable and varied as the score allowed us to be, because the score is so wide ranging and all encompassing, and we wanted to try to service that with how we were bringing them to bear.
Definitely. And there definitely is a huge range, like you were saying. So, do you have a favorite? I know it's hard to pick a favorite, but do you have one that maybe you're most proud of accomplishing or how it came out in the end?
Oh, well, I love all of our songs. But I would say, I mean, there's a couple that I really, that really sort of spring to mind, just because I feel like the execution was so matched. In terms of like what we were trying to accomplish. I think "Falling in Love," which is in the sixth episode, I think came out really well. I feel like there's chapter 2, which is a ballad in the third episode. I thought was really beautiful. We did a song called "Who Am I," which is at the end of the second episode, which I really liked. And I thought she had like a really like, sort of simple elegance to it, and took a technique from a Francis Ford Coppola movie called "One from the Heart" that we loved, and kind of used this very theatrical technique on screen, which is something we enjoy doing. So yeah, like, I really, whether I shot them or one of our other directors did, we all were collaborating, and so it was so fun to be on set and look at each other and say, "Oh, we're making a musical." I mean, there's just nothing better than making a musical. So we had a lot of fun, and I hope that that's conveyed in the way the thing was put together.
It definitely is. I can tell that you guys put a lot of heart into it. So,
Oh, good. Well, we did a lot of heart and a little bit of sweat for sure.
of course.